The interview that you're about to see is the story of a survivor, a stroke survivor. And I was moved to do this story because of my own recent injury. Broke my ankle. And, whenever you get any kind of obstacle that life throws at you, you may get down, but the goal is to turn lemons into lemonade. And this story is one of survival. This one is of perseverance. This story is of faith. And this story is of determination. This story is also about family because the person you're about to hear from is my mother. When I was in middle school, she had an aneurysm, and I didn't know the severity of this situation until I got older. About 10 to 15% of people who have aneurysms die before they even reach the hospital. Another 40% die within the first week, and another 50% die 6 months after this occurrence. So this story is truly a survival. I want to inspire anybody that's going through anything right now to just keep going. It may not look good right now. You may feel like you just want to give up, but don't, because there's always a rainbow at the other end, and you can share your story with someone else so that they can keep going and you can be an encouragement to them as well. So I hope you enjoy.
So excited. I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here with Genova Clemens, and she has a powerful story. And I'm encouraging her to tell her story because I know there's so many people that are out there looking and waiting for her to tell her story. Why? Because her story is a story of survival. Her story is a story of hope. Her story is a story of faith. And people need hope. People need faith. And people need to know that it's possible to survive conditions that a lot of people die from. So, Genova, tell me a little bit about your story and tell me a little bit about what you remember about it and all of that. I'm going to ask a few questions.
Okay. It was June 4th, I think it was 1997. I was a medical assistant at a HMO, and I planned events. So I was doing a major event for this healthcare center. We had a new primary care lead come into the center. I did all the planning, everything, but he was Jewish. No one gave me that information. So I had to go out and get something for him. I had to go to the Wilson Bridge. By the time I came back, the event was over. I was devastated because I didn't get a chance to see the event.
Oh my God.
So I had 3 supervisors at the time, and they called me in for an evaluation. And the moment I sat down, I said, I'm not feeling well. I said, my head is hurting, and I have a pain in the back of my head. And I began to just really, I like blanked out. Is what happened. I blanked out. And they put me on a.
I bet that was really, I wonder how your supervisors were feeling when you were telling them all about what was going on.
I don't know. They were sitting there, and I can't really judge or say what they were feeling, but we continue with trying to do the evaluation. But I immediately blacked out.
Wow.
And they put me on a stretcher.
Wow.
It was a healthcare facility, thank God. I was in a healthcare facility. So they put me on a stretcher. There was a pharmacy guy over pharmacy, and I knew that he was a pastor. So I called him in and I said, tell Rick to come in. I said, Rick, can you please keep me in prayer? Because I know you're a prayer person, that you're a person that really believes in the power of prayer. If you do anything for me, just say a prayer for me. He says, I will. So they put me on a stretcher.
Wow.
And they began to take me to Southern Maryland Hospital. As I was in the ambulance going to Southern Maryland Hospital, I told the techs, I'm going out again, because I knew I was going out
So you
again.
were feeling that. But what was really powerful about how you started this journey, you called in someone that believed in prayer because you knew that you needed prayer at that moment.
Yes.
That's powerful that you were at that place to say, first and foremost, prayer is what I need. So that's powerful. Let's get home.
And they took me to Southern Maryland Hospital. My nephew, Aronde, he called my family and informed my family what was going on. When I went to Southern Maryland, they said, no, we have to immediately medevac her. I was in a coma for 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
I had a girlfriend, Deborah, and I thank God. You know, there's certain friends that you have that you know will be ride or die with you.
Right.
I thank God for her because every day I was in that coma, they were moving me. She said, I come on my lunch break to pray for you. She said, you're not in another room, and I had to search for you. But she would come every day and lay her hands on me and pray for me. It took me about 3 or 4 days. I came out of the coma. Well, let me back up. They told my husband when my husband got there, call your family, because she will not survive. She has a 5% chance of living. They said it doesn't look good. She will not survive this. And if she does, she will be comatose if she survived this ordeal. So
I don't want to interrupt you. I know of people that are looking at this, they're wondering, what is it that she survived? Would you share what your diagnosis was?
I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. It's bleeding in the brain.
Wow. Okay, so you can keep sharing. That's powerful because 5%.
5% chance that I would.
So if 100 people line up having that same condition, 95 of those won't make it. So you were one of the 5%. That's powerful.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
So he said, that's not what God is telling me. She's going to make it. And he called all of my family. I had like tons of family in the waiting room. And they just began to just go into prayer and interceding for me. And I have a cousin now, she's deceased, but Linda, she led the group in prayer. I had Sister Rosa. She came down from South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
She took Brittany back with her. And my boys went to, you know.
You had young children.
I had very young children. And, you know, going back thinking about it now, I don't know what I would have done. But they took care of my children while I was in the hospital. My family put my children, my boys in daycare so they could survive this ordeal. But my husband, every day he had to work, he would come to the hospital and just, you know, see about me. And I had family members around the clock that was just coming, praying for me.
Prayer and support. That is so powerful. You've given 2 keys already to people surviving medical challenges or any challenge. Prayer and the support and loving family that you had and friends.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we all need when we go through our challenges. So you had it, and it sounds like you had it in abundance.
I did. And after the 3 days I came out, my sister-in-law Tony, she was wonderful because she came there and she, you know, bathed me and washed me and did all the support. You know, she was giving me so much support. And I really thank her. You know, I called her recently and just thanked her and how much she just showered me with love. You know, she just showered me with that love. And I don't think if it was for my family and them coming and them, I don't know if I would have made it, but thank God I did. And I came out of the coma. I did a series of batteries of testing. They couldn't find anything after that. So they discharged me. I was having a hard time walking. I didn't want to speak. I didn't think I could speak.
So there was some damage, and if you will, you could walk before the incident, but afterward you could not walk.
I could not physically walk. I had to have a therapist come to my house
and to teach you to walk again.
It was about maybe 2 months of therapy that I went through. That she came to my house and she worked with me, and there was days where I was at home by myself and I didn't feel like getting up to go to the door to even let her in. I was so, you know, weak and out of it. But she would ring that doorbell. She was like, I know you're in there and we're going to do this therapy and you're going to come to this, you're going to get up out of that bed and walk. And I just forced myself to get up and make it to the door. If I could just make it to the door and open the door. she would help me the rest of the way, and she would take me inside the house, and then she gradually took me outside, and we walked the neighborhood.
So that was about 2 month period before you started walking. What about your speaking? You said you didn't.
I had a speech therapy come to my house, and she worked with me. There is nothing wrong with your talking. You can talk. She said you just have to open your mouth and speak. And when she said that, it gave me confidence that I could, and I just opened my mouth, and it sounds silly now when I think about it, but really I didn't think I could speak. I really just thought something was wrong. I couldn't speak, but I could, and she helped me to verbalize. I just need to open my mouth and really just put the words out.
What are some of the other impacts that this, I call it aneurysm, you call it, you have the medical term for it. What was some of the impacts that you notice now that you want to share?
It's definitely memory, cognitive memory. I'm very forgetful. Even now, I still struggle with a lot of things. It took me 6 months before I could drive.
Oh, okay.
Again, and get back to work.
Right. So one of the things when you came home from the hospital, your daughter shared that you didn't know who they were.
See, I don't remember that. I mean, she probably remembered that, but a lot of things were like in a cloud,
a fog.
fog.
Yes. So you don't remember that, but that your daughter remembered coming home and seeing mommy and mommy not knowing who they were. So you had a journey.
I did.
You had a journey, and you're here.
So
how did you return into your parenting? You had 3 young children. So how long did that take before you can start providing the care at the level of care that you wanted to as a mother?
This happened in June, so I think they didn't come back into me until about August, when it was time for them to go back to school.
Oh, okay.
They came back and the boys was in school. I think they must have seen daycare, and Brittany was in school.
Okay.
So they didn't come back. Brittany didn't come back until August.
So if you were able to talk to people, and you can look at that camera, and you can talk to a person that's had a physical challenge, and maybe they're you. The doctors told them they may have 5% chance of survival. Maybe they're you. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
I would say don't give up. Just have that faith, and just keep with your faith. You have to stick with it. You have to know that through God I can do all things. And you have to know that God makes you victorious. You are victorious in God. So I would say don't give up. Don't let fear hamper your growth and your determination to survive.
And I think, one of the other things is, as I'm listening to the story, I heard a song. I would say prayer, love, faith, support, and determination.
Yes.
I heard all of that in your story. You had people that totally loved you, that supported your journey, and you could not have done it without. You had family come and get your children. You had people praying for you. So you borrowed their faith for a while. You had to borrow their strength, and you had to borrow their love and receive that love. So for that person that laying in the hospital bed, and maybe someone would take this message to them, keep the faith. Keep the faith and survive. And I would even go farther. I don't see you as a survivor. I see you as thriving. If 95% died, you survived and you're thriving. When you can go tell your story to encourage and inspire someone else or another family to give them hope, that's thriving.
Yeah, I really do want it to be an ambassador to tell people, you can come back. What you're going through doesn't have to always be.
Yeah.
If you have to dig in your strength, like you said, your inner person, and pull all that determination out of you. And for me, it was my children.
They were your.
They were
There was a
mine.
thing inside.
That was inside. I can't leave my children.
Right.
What would they do if I left them?
Right.
I couldn't leave my children.
Right.
You know, so that in itself was motivation for me to pull up and do what I needed to do. There were times, like I said, when that lady come, I didn't feel like getting out of that bed. I knew I had to, and I would just say keep at it and don't give up.
So find that thing that they can hold on to. You found your children
My
as the
children.
anchor to want to live, to want to survive.
Yes.
So they should find that thing internal, intrinsic, on the inside of them that will give them hope, that will give them a reason to fight.
Yes.
Because it had to be challenging not to be able to walk.
Yes.
You've been walking and all of a sudden one day you can't walk, and you were young.
Yeah, I was young.
How?
I was maybe 38.
Yeah, 38 years old. That's young. To experience something. We don't expect to experience that. Maybe we think that's something for older people, right? Maybe a stroke for older people. But you fought and you fought. I would say that strength, that inner strength, quiet storm. You're like a quiet your grandmother now. And it's beautiful. So this is a beautiful journey. So thank you so much for sharing. And I look forward to you telling your story, inspiring others to hold on, to don't give up, to find that thing, to their reason to live, their reason to get better, their reason to thrive, their reason to grow. And I know your story will help many.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to share it.
Thank you. God bless you.
I love you, Mom.